All right, welcome to Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan here with the Colossus of Podcast Clout. Keith, what's up, Goofus?
Goofus is, a good term that I didn't realize was a insult.
Big fan of Goofus. We're talking about The Sandlot, which is what we're doing today. 1993's The Sandlot. Here at the Buddy Book Club, we're breaking down some box office bangers, and this week we'll be discussing a childhood favorite. If you'd like to recommend a book or a movie for us to read or watch, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, so please download and subscribe. Keith, how many times have you seen The Sandlot?
In recent years, not very often. When I was growing up, probably 15 times, I would say.
This one was one that I owned. I didn't own a bunch. So I watched The Sandlot a lot. Baseball was my first love as a kid. Sports related, not lady related. That was my first grade teacher, Mrs. Sebring. So I've probably seen this movie, 100 times. Let's jump right in with some stock up, stock down. Keith, what do you have for stock up?
Stock up. This is a comedy podcast. I'm going to start off a little hot.
It is?
Stock up grooming.
I was going to talk about this. I was going to save it for the end. Wow, you're really popping off at the top.
I'm buying the stock. I mean, the stock, I don't even think it's legally sold. I think it's against the law to sell it.
This is on the dark web or something.
But at the end of the movie, we learn that Squints and Wendy, spoilers, Peppercorn.
Peffer.
That name is very hard to say, by the way. Peppercorn? All right. End up getting married and having kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, but if we do some of the simple math here, Squints, maybe he's supposed to be 12. He looks like he's like 8.
Yeah, I was going to say like 10 to 12.
The relationship seemed to start between him and Wendy when he was 12 and she was probably 18, 19.
No, she was 16, I'm going to guess.
Oh, is she supposed to be younger? Okay.
I think so.
I looked up how old she was, the actress, at the time. I think she was 19. So I'm going to, whatever, let my math work, okay?
Okay, sure.
She's an adult. She's an adult, okay? They have 9 kids. Mm-hmm. And she literally, so unless like they just started having kids right when he was 18, the math doesn't really check out for that, right? Like that's a lot of kids in a short span of time since she's going to be older. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. So let's say he's 12. Let's just say 12 and 18. So there's a 6-year difference, right? So by the time he's 18,
she's 24.
She's 24. So yeah, they could have.
That's just grooming, straight up. If they're just getting, right when she turns 18, they're getting married and having kids.
Well, it's funny because this is not where I was going with the grooming.
Where were you going with it? You were talking about the dog needing to be groomed?
I was just going to ask. I was just going to throw it out there. I don't want to ruin anyone's favorite movie or anything, but I was going to throw it out there. Is James Earl Jones grooming?
Oh, Jesus. You're talking about something. Wait, what? James Earl Jones can't see. What do you mean?
Who cares? Just because you don't be an ableist, okay? All right?
I don't know what that means.
I think it's people who say something about disabled people. All he asked for a signed baseball of whatever, the 1923 or whatever the case is, Yankees, worth a lot of money, and the guy doesn't seem to have a very nice house. So he could, and
he can't see the ball or the house. What does it matter? That's the whole point.
He's willing to give it away as long as they come back once a week to talk baseball. These kids just almost murdered his dog. They ruined his fence, almost murdered his dog. And he's like, okay, here's a baseball. Come back once a week and we'll talk baseball.
Well, my grooming was funny. It's like a hot older girl seducing a young kid, but then they get old and they get married. That's like a cute story. An actual old dude seducing young kids is not funny. That's like, all right, this is not
I
funny
wasn't
at all.
suggesting that was the case. I was just putting it out there. What are the odds? That was it. Okay. Let's not put me up on the stand here. James Earl Jones should be on the stand.
It's an old dude that's lonely that just wants to talk baseball, and you made it out to be something terrible. My girl Wendy Peppercorn, whatever her name is, she's just a minx that is just like manipulating young boys to then marrying them and having 9 kids with them. There's a way different thing there going on.
I understand 9 times out of 10. James Earl Jones has the right mindset and he just wants to chat with the boys. You got to be careful, and there's a reason why people say this day and age this stuff would never be allowed to happen, because back then it was always the nice neighborly people that were grooming the kids. So
but anyway, stock up. I was gonna turn this around on you somehow and be like, "This is D-Man's favorite movie growing up, and he's into grooming, so he's the one buying the stock. I'm just reporting on it, you know."
Oh yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. My first stock up is Summer Vacation. I just need to have it out there and at the top. I mean, what beats that? School's out and you can do whatever the heck you want. Even when you're in high school, you have to have a job or something along those lines. But when you're a kid and you have summer vacation, it's like, I just want to get up and play video games all day, or I'm going to go bike to my buddy's house and we're going to jump on his trampoline and shoot water guns at each other. It's like, that's fucking great. I'm going to go down the street to this old man's house and he's going to talk baseball with me while my clothes are off. You know, those kind of things are what summer vacation is all about.
Right, of course.
So it made me a little nostalgic for summer vacation, for sure, because I miss it.
Yeah, can companies just all like get together and decide we're going to take off the summers and just like everyone in the world has it off? You know, what we'll do is like what like bears do, where they like
hibernate.
We get all the food made and everything ready for the summer, right? They store all the food up, so no one has to work on the food, and then the math might not check out on this, or the southern hemisphere does all the work during the summer, and then we benefit. See, yep, there we go. I made that work for us.
Yeah,
and then when it's their summer, we're doing all the work. You know, we help each other out, but everyone gets the summer off again. That's what I run on as president.
I'm into it. What's your next stock up?
Stock up pickles and third base coaches. A lot of pickle talk in this.
Not by James Earl Jones, by the way.
Yeah. Well, can we not talk about Wendy Peppercorn wanted some extra pickle on her peppercorn, if you know what I mean?
No, I can't.
All right. There's tons of stuff about getting into pickles, getting out of pickles, being in a baseball pickle. Personally, I'm not a big pickle guy. If you're at a deli or ordering a sandwich, you want to stand next to me because you know I'm giving you that pickle.
Yeah, that's my favorite person to be next to.
Then also I'll hand you a pick for my sandwich, if you know what I mean. But also stock up third base coaches because Benny the Jet just has zero baseball awareness. He gets into multiple pickles in this movie.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a future MLB player. Why are you rounding third so hard and not have any field awareness? He gets out of the pickles, which I think at the end of the movie, correct me if I'm wrong, D-Man, I didn't think the stealing home really has any symbolism, right? Get him into a pickle, right? He rounds second hard, the guy sends him. He gets into a pickle, gets out of it, scores. That would be much more apropos, if that's the word.
Yeah.
There. So I'm not really sure why they stole home. There was no rationale.
And also,
for
like, why are you stealing home in general? But hey, I'm not a huge baseball guy anymore. Like I said, it was my first love, but it's not my last love. That's now pickleball. Talking about pickles. But yeah, I agree because they start the movie with him in a pickle. So why not finish it?
Fun fact too, I just heard on another podcast that. Do you know why it's called pickleball?
They don't actually know, but it's potential that the people who started its dog name was Pickle.
Oh, well then the podcast was lying to me, but they said it was because the people that invented it were big crew people, and the people that were not on the A team were called the pickle crew, like the second crew. And they said, oh, like this sport's for people that aren't good at tennis. It's like the pickle ball
interesting.
of tennis.
I've heard that and like the family's dog name was Pickle.
Mine one was cooler.
I don't know. I think it'd be cool to just name it after your dog. It's like people are like, ooh, where does this name of this sport come from? It's like, I don't know. I invented it, and my dog's name was Pickle, and you play with a ball. So, well, speaking of playing with balls, James. No, I'm just kidding. My other stock up here is pick up ball over organized sports. I used to be in once we were out of college, we just played pickup softball with some friends, and it was just like whoever could come, show up. You pitch to your own team, you know, you make your own calls, whatever the case is. You crack beers on the sideline, you know, it was wonderful. And when you're a kid, even then, pickup is so much better than the organized sports. It's like casual. There's no stupid uniforms that your mom forgets in the washing machine 10 minutes before you're about to leave for a game. And then you're like, oh, where's my uniform? She's like, oh, it's in the washing machine. You have to play a baseball game with a soggy uniform, which is terrible. There's no parents as the coaches who always play favorites, especially with their own kid. It's like, okay, Billy's going to pitch today. It's like, your son is terrible. Like, he should not be pitching. I know that this is a 7 to 8 year old baseball game, but he is terrible. I don't want to sit here and watch him walk everyone the whole time. So Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes had it right. Just make up your own sports, have fun with your friends. Don't worry about paying the fee to the town to get involved in organized sports. It's stupid. What else you have stock up?
That's it for stock up.
Okay, I got a couple. Tree houses. I mean, the treehouse they have in this one is epic. Treehouses were a big thing. Another thing that was like big when we were kids that somehow, I don't even know if it's like cool anymore or like people really chat about it or build tree houses.
Remember we did a stock up tree houses. This is a way back one, but the Matthew McConaughey book we read.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Where he said the treehouse was 100 yards up.
Yeah, 120 feet in the air or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever, McConaughey.
I trust him, man. I don't know why, but
I know.
trust him.
Everything else in that book seemed legit. He had a pee funnel in his van that went out the side so he could pee while he drive. Like, I believe that, but come on. How do you even get the lumber up there? But this one is also fairly epic. One of their dads must be the absolute man because it fits all 9 kids comfortably. Mm-hmm. I mean, they have a sleepover in the treehouse. So I tried to like conceptualize how big this treehouse must have been because it looked quite large. According to the internet, the average 10-year-old is 50 to 58 inches tall. So let's just take the low end and say, 50-ish. That's 4 feet. So if the kid's a foot wide, each kid when he's laying down takes up 4 square feet. 9 kids, that's 36 square feet. It technically only would be a 6x6 to fit all of them, but there was a bunch of other stuff in there.
Or are we counting the vertical element too, where people can sleep on bunk beds and things like that? Building up kids.
Oh, well, they did have multiple levels on that too. So interesting. So maybe there's multiple foot plans, but even then, I didn't see any bunk beds, whatever the case is. So I'm going to say the treehouse is probably like 10 by 10. Which is incredible. And there's multiple levels. They had as different escape hatches. You could escape down the ladder, down the pole. It was awesome. I didn't have any friends with tree houses, but I always wanted one. The best thing that someone had was like the prefabricated playground that had like the thing you could climb up into. Mm-hmm. Once again, being a kid, having tree houses, sounds great. My last stock up was English Mastiffs, which is what Hercules is. At the end, they said that Hercules lived to be 199 in dog years, which is 28 in human years. It's pretty incredible for a large breed dog. I think it's probably because he still had his testicles, which were shown gratuitously throughout the end of the film, if I say so myself. It's like, why do you have to do slow motion of this dog's balls slapping against his leg?
I didn't notice it, but some people, I guess, were looking for it. I don't know. That's weird.
I mean, even James Earl Jones could have seen those balls. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous.
Stay in. Well done. There's the clip for the kids.
I guess get yourself an English Mastiff because they'll live forever. So good on you. What do you have for stock down?
Baseball supply, stock down.
Okay.
What's up with baseball just being impossible to get a hold of? The market ran dry on these. It seems like if I were a parent in the 60s and my kids are out just all day, great. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. Out of the house, not getting into trouble, playing sports. Buy the kids a pack of 30 baseballs. Like, what are these costing? Like $1,000? Like, what's the deal here?
They were 96 cents, I think they said.
Which probably translates to like $5. Also, when I was a kid, my parents just dropped me off at our swim and tennis club, and you just went there and you did whatever you wanted. We would play all the time tennis baseball on the tennis courts. Tennis balls were hard to find. So you hit the ball over the fence, you're in the woods, like deep into the woods. Yeah. So we would just go for... Anytime we wanted to play, we'd go out for 30 minutes. Everyone would go and just try to find tennis balls that were hit over the fence.
Yep.
And pick them up, and then we have like 20 balls. These kids will like got to work for it.
Well, they couldn't do that because all the balls were over the fence where Hercules' lair was.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why they said at the end they could play baseball for years.
They were able to like get money together to get a baseball for when they needed to get that signed or whatever, the fake one.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be what you do. You just work for it. You do stupid stuff to figure out a way to get that next ball. That should be like their brainchild. But instead, they were like, I guess today's done. It's like, come on, no.
Yeah, I wish that was part of the movie. That's an interesting theme that I thought would be fun. Some shenanigans to like get some money to buy another ball, as opposed to them playing against the like organized biker gang baseball team, which was like
I
pretty
liked
useless.
The trash talk. I thought that was cool.
Well, the only good part about that was Hambino behind the plate talking trash. My first stock down is Stepdads. So
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Bill,
You have a stepdad.
I do. He's a great man. So
Okay, all right. Good. Just want to clear that up because he's a big listener, huge fan. You know?
Yeah, come on. He always asks me to recommend a book for him when he goes on like a cruise or something like that.
Well, he knows you're part of the BBC. You know,
indeed. But yeah, so that's why the stock's pretty high because there's some great ones out there. But Bill might be the worst ever. He can spend hours just meticulously setting up his trophy room, which, by the way, had a bunch of like actual trophies on the wall. Close the yearbook, buddy. Okay, you're a pencil pusher. Why do you have your 5th grade T-ball trophy on the wall? Get over it. But this guy needs prodding to teach his stepson how to play baseball. Him and the mom have only been together a couple of years. And now you're moving this kid into a new environment. He loves baseball. You love baseball. That's an easy in. Just say, yeah, like, let's go play catch. I mean, I remember when my little brother got to the age where we could play, because he's 16 years younger than me, that we could go out and play ball. I was like, heck yeah. Like, let's play street hockey as much as we possibly can. Let's throw a football around. Let's throw baseball. Like, that's fun. That's supposed to be fun. He's just a terrible stepdad. And then on top of that, it's like, fine.
Well,
okay.
To be fair, his kid kind of sucked. I mean,
well, yeah, but he sucked because he never taught him how to throw a baseball. And then even when he does teach him eventually, he's just teaching him in the worst possible way. Benny's at least like, hey, you were on a newspaper route, right? Okay, so just throw it like you threw a newspaper. And he's totally fine. Where his stepdad's like, point your arm this way, fall. It's like too much direction.
Yeah. Well, some people aren't teachers, you know? It's
hey,
tough.
Like I said, totally fine. If you want to be like a parent that doesn't give a shit about your kid, that's fine. But at least give the kid a decent glove and a baseball hat. It's really not that hard. He has this like plastic glove that his grandmother bought him. Bill's obsessed with baseball. He can't just get the kid a glove. And on top of that, what is going on with Smalls' hat? It's like we've got a brim that's...
I like that hat.
You did?
I don't know why they made him throw it out. Yeah, the original flat brim.
No, that hat was terrible.
He also, I think, is wearing that in the announcer booth. So somehow he got it back.
Yeah, well, he didn't burn it.
They told him to burn it.
Yeah, he didn't burn it. But Bill's got like 4 baseball hats hanging on his wall in his trophy room. Just grab one and give it to the kid.
No, you're right. You're right.
And lastly, when he hits a kid in the face, he decides to put a stake on his eye. And I'm not even going to talk about the color of that stake because that stake must have been a month old. It was gray. It was disgusting. But Bill, have you heard of bacteria? You're just going to throw a stake? He's trying to murder his stepson. That's the conclusion I came to. He's actually trying to murder his stepson. He was like, this is a festering stake. I'm going to put it on his eye and fill his eye hole with bacteria and blind him like James Earl Jones.
Why did they use that stake to distract Hercules too, you know? Like, think outside the box one time for it.
Yeah, great call. It's a freaking great call. On all the ideas they had.
I thought that dad was a normal dad for like the 60s. I was like, oh yeah, he seems pretty normal.
He was a total piece of shit. Fuck Bill. And also, fuck the mom too. She asked him, Scotty, why haven't you made any friends? Mom, maybe because you decided to move 2 weeks before summer and I didn't have a chance to meet any other kids and now you're literally shaming me? You're shaming me because you don't want me playing with my erector set? Well, it's either this erector set or the one in my pants because I haven't met anyone. So I don't know what you want from me.
I also know what she did in Animal House. So his mother is questionable.
I only remember her from Indiana Jones. But the parents were terrible. I felt so bad for them.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. My next stock down is Goodfellas.
Oh.
I think the intro from this movie was stolen from Goodfellas. But you know what? Mm-hmm. They did a better job of it. They had some funnier nicknames. All the intros were good. I liked it. I think it was kind of ripped completely from that. You know, like the famous scene that they go through and they're like, that's Joey 2 times or whatever it is. You know, like those things. Yeah, they ripped it right from it, but it was better.
And the narration, the whole narration was ripped from Goodfellas.
Exactly,
as well.
Yeah.
How do you feel about a narrator? Because I was going to talk about this later, but I'm kind of getting rid of all my love hates here. How do you feel about a narrator in a movie?
One of my favorite movies have narrators, or at least the most rewatchable movies. I don't know what that tells you about me.
Tell me, besides Goodfellas, do you have another one that you can think of?
Shawshank Redemption.
Okay. There's
a couple other ones. Oh, Parted has all the basically movies with, what's his name movies?
All Scorsese movies?
Yeah, Scorsese has it. What about you? I know it's like art-wise, it's poor taste if you have to have a narrator, apparently.
No, I think the idea is just if you need someone to kind of be the exposition person, it means you can't like write a script or whatever. I think that's kind of silly. I totally think it's fine. For me, I don't mind a narrator at all, unless it's getting to the point where they're like explaining.
Oh, Memento too. That's one of my favorite. Right.
Yeah, but you're like in his head too. Yeah, so definitely narration.
Fight Club.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with it, and I thought it did good in this book. I also love. I mean, this movie. I also love a flashback, and not there's a flashback in the movie, just when the entire movie is a flashback, that kind of thing. So I enjoy that. It's a better time kind of thing, like another coming of age movie that you said you haven't seen, Now and Then. Also all a flashback for the most part. My next stock down was Cha, aka Dip. Just don't do it, kids. If you're kids out there, if you're listening, one, if the neighbor's going to give you a baseball, don't go to his house. Two, if someone offers you dip, especially if you're at an amusement park, do not do it. We were at Gran Torino, the Clint Eastwood movie, and for some reason, I was like, we didn't have any snacks or anything, so I was just sitting there. My buddy's like, oh, you want a dip? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll try it. And it was the last 15 minutes of that movie. My head was spinning, like, as much as possible. Like, my whole neck was around 360 degrees spinning. I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I puked in the movie theater from taking this Cha. It was just like these boys. And I wasn't on a roller coaster. Did I learn my lesson? No. My brother-in-law came to town, and he's a hockey player, so those guys all like Cha. And he was like, oh, you want to pick some up because we're going bowling? I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I get the fine cut, which is like...
It's like super potent, right?
Just hits you right immediately. We're bowling, put it in, nope, I was spinning like those bowling balls, ran to the bathroom, puked again. That was officially the last time. I was out after that.
That's fair.
I know a lot of people enjoy it. I've never had the actual like chewing tobacco though. It's always been
I think that's pretty disgusting.
But baseball managers seem to like it, so
they put it in their bubble gum.
Yeah, they mix it with the gum, which is interesting.
The first times I had it were on St. Patrick's Day, and every time I was been drinking a little bit. We just were surpassing St. Patrick's Day here recently, and no effect, zero. I was just like, yep.
Really?
And then I had it like 2 beers deep at a concert, and I spit it out after like 3 minutes. I was like, my head is absolutely spinning right now. I was drinking with it in my mouth at St. Patrick's Day. No impact. I don't know what it was. I think St. Patrick's Day just it eliminates everything. It cancels everything out.
The last one I had, and we already kind of covered it, was consent. Because nowadays you really should be asking for consent. And really not nowadays, like it should just be a thing. It can get taken to a level. You're supposed to ask someone if you can kiss them before you kiss them. It's just, that's the way it is. And I hate to say it, but it worked out for Squint Scolari here when he surely didn't ask for consent. And it was closer to sexual assault, if you ask some, because he just went in on Wendy Peppercorn. And it turned out well for him. He ended up with 9 kids and married the love of his life. But probably not the best move. Probably wouldn't be done, wouldn't be done in a movie this time around. But worked for Squints. So what can we say?
Stock up drowning?
yeah, there you go. Stock up drowning. I was actually, it would have been hilarious because the male lifeguard's the one that pulled him out. So it would have been great if he just went in on him.
Is there any like theories out there that the movie has actually been told from Squint's point of view and he died and it's just like a dream, it's a fever dream after that?
No, but I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the new conspiracy because he's the one telling the story about how bad the beast is, Hercules is.
Yeah.
I might be onto something. And then all of a sudden the story ends. Everyone else is like, yeah, this guy got big into the 60s and became a hippie and no one ever saw him again. Squints had 9 kids with the love of his life. Yeah. Like, wait, what?
Squints has not stopped fucking Wendy Peppercorn since his 18th birthday. Love, hate, what'd you love?
I think you mentioned earlier, but it brings you right back to being a kid, summer vacation. I told you I pretty much had summers where I got dropped off and I just could do whatever I wanted. Every day was anything could happen today. And that's what a feel like gave you. And you're right. It just made me be like, damn, I wish I had summer vacations off or had like more time to do what they're doing, Yeah, it makes you really nostalgic for the good old days.
Yeah, zero responsibility.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
I already talked about the flashback stuff. L7 Weenie. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about L7 Weenie in a Sandlot thing. But it makes zero sense. But I love it. It's a great way to talk about someone to just call them an L7 Weenie. What someone means. Someone says to you, oh, that person's an L7 weenie. It sounds like exactly what it is. And I looked it up. It didn't come from it. It came from The guy who wrote it just came up with it. It didn't, but it's now everywhere. You know, someone says L7 Weenie, you know it, and it's just from this movie. So L7 Weenie, I'm into it. I'm into it.
And You're Killing Me, Smalls. Is You're Killing Me from this? Because I feel like I say, oh, you're killing me right now. That is ubiquitous. Everyone's always said that, but I realize it's probably from this movie, right?
You're Killing Me? It could be. You're Killing Me, Smalls is definitely from the movie. So.
Well, yeah, obviously, but like I say, you're killing me all the times too, not without the Smalls part.
Yeah.
But.
I like it. Yeah, there's some good stuff here. Could be. I also thought the actors in this, like the kids, I thought they were all great. It's tough to have 9 kids and not have someone that like really just blows, but I thought all the acting was great by them. I was
and
really
not
surprised.
just at Earl James'
Yeah,
house.
not just that. Oh, good God. What have I done? I've sabotaged this podcast. Even the baseball stuff, though, they could swing the baseball bat. They could throw. I don't know if this was like Band of Brothers where they made them go to like 2 weeks of baseball boot camp beforehand.
Yeah.
But all the kids, they sold it. I believed it. I mean, I've seen worse sports playing in like Varsity Blues and Friday Night Lights, stuff like that, than I saw from these 9 kids in the Sandlot. So
literally the exact same love. I had to look up if Benny the Jet was like, oh, he must have like been a real baseball player later on, you know? I had to look him. I don't think he was, but he seemed like a natural athlete.
I thought he was there's a couple swings that he takes.
They showed him like running the base pass, and I was like, oh, he's actually pretty fast. Like he looks like an actual athlete.
Yeah, I agree with that. The base running aspect. Him swinging the bat, I wasn't as
super impressed with.
Yeah, I wasn't as impressed with some of the other kids, including Smalls. Smalls could swing a bat. Did you have anything else for love?
The Rotten Tomato variance, 64 versus 89.
Yeah, you gotta love a good variance.
And by 64-89, I mean 64 critics, 89 people.
Yeah. What about hate?
Hate, I think you kind of mentioned it too, but there's some scenes, like on first watch, I probably liked them, but they're a little long in the tooth. I think the chew scene, I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen here. And then that like lasted for like 5 minutes. I was like, all right, like let's get this over with.
Yeah, it could have been a tight 90. Could have been a tight 90 minutes.
I agree with that.
So one of my hates, I mean, I already went over Bill. Fuck that guy.
I also thought about your point there with Bill is that his stepson steals his ball, but brings him a ball that's valued roughly probably 15x, maybe 20x. Yeah. It's like, oh, this ball you had was like worth 50,000. It's like, oh, here's a ball that I just got for free that's worth 250,000 or $1 million. It's like, oh, like, yeah, that you don't ground someone for that, right?
Yeah, no, for sure not. It's like, oh, you took this ball. It's like, well, maybe if you told me who Babe Ruth was, I would have. You have a giant trophy room that's about these people, and I've never even walked in there with you. Yeah, his mom had to tell him, who also didn't even know that this was a fresh baseball. Like they didn't take a moment to like rub some dirt on it or anything. Get some New Jersey mud in there. The only hate I really had, and this is a little nitpicking, but how does 9 make a full team to play baseball? They were like, oh, we got small, so we have 9 now, we can play. It's like, I understand how it allows them to play against the baseball bike gang, but how do they play against themselves? The kids seem that they can hit in the outfield, obviously that's why they lose all those balls. But even if they say, okay, like, they'll play 2 in the outfield, once somebody gets on base, it's like, okay, now what?
Well, I think it's more like batting practice than an actual game, right? They're able to, with 9, they can do like a full fielding drill, and then they can also hit with like maybe not a second baseman, I would say.
Yeah, I guess so.
It checks out for me. I didn't have an issue with that.
You can't play a game though. They're trying to play a game. What is?
Oh yeah, you can't play a game. I mean, I'm sure they invented a game. I mean, we all did that back in the day. That's fine.
Yeah, I guess you'd have ghost runners.
Yeah, it's like you're up until you get out. Like, and so people had to get the guy out, and then next up, and then you keep track of your score. It's like every man for themselves.
Oh, that's interesting. So if you hit a single, you have a ghost runner on first and go back and bat.
3 people on each team, and then everyone's working together against those 3 or something like that. So things like that. Oh. We could definitely do it.
Okay, I take it back. I love it. No, I'm just kidding. It's still a little weird.
It's pickup, kid. That's why what makes pickup great. Yeah. You can literally invent your own rules. There's no structure. It's
right.
Whatever.
You're right. You know what? When you're right, you're right. I'll admit that I'm wrong. Okay, I'm a bigger man
than me.
Studio notes. This movie, The Sandlot, was directed and co-wrote by David Mickey Evans. He also wrote the movie Radio Flyer. I don't know if you ever saw that one. Elijah Wood. Other than that, he didn't really do anything besides a bunch of other like crappy kids movies. At first, I saw that he did, I can't remember the friggin' movie.
Barely Legal?
No.
He did a movie called Barely
Oh,
Legal.
did he?
So,
Shit.
yeah.
I don't even know what that means. But,
No, you don't know what the legal age is?
no. I mean, I don't know what that movie would
they're all legal to
possibly...
me.
I don't even know what that movie would possibly be about. Oh, he did. He wrote Ace Ventura. I was like, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. He wrote and directed it, but it was Ace Ventura: Pet Detective Junior, whatever that means.
Right.
So, which actually sounds terrible and hilarious. This movie made $34 million off a $7 million budget, and also an additional $76 million in VHS and DVD sales. I mean, back in the day, you could just make so much money in the secondary market. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. It was the first home video in a slipcase, which is interesting because, you know, everything was in the clamshell boxes, and this was the first one that was in the slipcase.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are two sequels, Sandlot 2 and Sandlot Heading Home. Both look terrible. I have not seen either one. I assume you haven't either.
No.
Yeah. No, thank you. Let's recast, rewrite, review. Like you said, it's a 64.89 on Rotten Tomatoes. Our review this week comes from Stephen Hunter of the Baltimore Sun. He says, "You feel as if you're being smothered in cotton candy by a director obsessed with infantility who cannot bear to face the reality of childhood." This guy has the baseball bat so far up his ass. Buddy, relax. It's The Sandlot. The reality of childhood? What do you want this to be? I don't like, you want this to be the girl in the red jacket from Schindler's List, just like her story? No, it's The Sandlot. It's about a bunch of boys playing baseball. Like, it's not supposed to be that big of a deal. And even in, like, I looked at the review itself. It's a really long review, and I was like, okay, I got to read this. And he's talking about some guy who kind of created this kid gang movies, you know, think like The Little Rascals or something like that. And he says in his review, he's like, thank God this guy died in 1992, so he wasn't around to see this come out. I was like, what? Like, really? You wouldn't want him to live a couple more years?
He's rolling over in his grave right now because The Sandlot was a movie.
Yeah, like, what? You watched this, Stephen? What are you talking about? The Baltimore Sun hasn't looked this bad since that reporter was fabricating stories in The Wire, in my mind. So, Stephen, get your shit together. Terrible. Did you have any recast or rewrites on this one?
I had a review also from Gary Thompson, the Philadelphia Daily News. The Sandlot is a safe, wholesome, patriotic family picture about baseball, and if there's an original scene, it escaped my attention. 2 out of 4. It's a kid's movie. Like, what?
Yeah,
what?
it's kind of supposed to be derivative. Like, they're all derivative. Everything's derivative.
Kids movies aren't supposed to be this beacon of originality, you know. They're supposed to be kids movies.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be very simplified, encouraging messages, and funny. Whereas this is apparently not.
Yeah.
The other thing that there was a lot of negative reviews I saw too were like, oh, it's this movie is like only for like kids and like boys specifically.
Yeah.
Like, but these same critics, if you make a movie that's for everyone, they'll be like, really no message. This is just like a cookie cutter, low-hanging fruit. Which way do you want it? Can you make a movie for a specific group of people? They can't figure out which one they want.
I feel like there's no problem having an audience, because I saw a lot of that too. This is just about boys. It has nothing to do with girls. And I think that's a point. It's factually correct, but I don't think it means, like, one, that girls won't necessarily like it or relate to it. And also, there are lots of movies about girls, what I talked about Now and Then, that's, you know, just about these girls coming of age. It's a great movie. It's a really good kids movie, and I liked it. I'm a boy. Like, what's the problem? Is someone out there saying, like, there's too much girl stuff, not enough Devon Sawa? It's like, relax. It is what it is. There's all these sorts of movies out there. Just go and enjoy a different movie. That was The Sandlot. Holy smokes. Keith, would you recommend it? I mean, if you're an adult and you haven't seen it, for me, probably not. But a kid, like, heck yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the barometer I would use, especially for kids' movies, is when you're with your nieces and nephews and they put a movie on, how terrible is it? If Sandlot's on, I'm watching the whole thing. I'm into it, you know? Like, it's not sit there, roll my eyes, and be on my phone. It's like, oh, this is a great, like, throwback that both I and, like, my nieces and nephews would enjoy. On a scale of kids movies, I give this a 3.5 stars or stars or buddies out of 4. I think it's very high up there. I think it's super rewatchable. I enjoyed it, and yeah, I was enthralled the whole time. Wow. Appreciated it.
That's. I didn't necessarily think about it like as a kids movie, because like all movies, I guess I didn't think about that aspect of it.
What would I put it on an adult? Like, hey, Joe Schmo's never seen the movie.
Oh,
what would
yeah,
I give it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not very. Oh, I already just mentioned it. I would read that review for him and say it's a movie about. It's a wholesome, patriotic movie about baseball with the main stars being kids. Do you want to watch that? And if they said yes, I would say, well, you and Earl James Jones should have a little chat. You know, we might have to sit you down.
Yeah,
And,
you're not gonna be like, okay, Field of Dreams, The Natural, or The Sandlot. You pick
Yeah.
one. I gave it 2.5 stars. AKA buddies. I like it. It wasn't as good for me as it was when I was a kid naturally.
well, obviously,
And I thought there was kind of a lack of the plot moving along at some points. There's just kind of like some dead areas. But I enjoyed it. It's like 2.5 for me is like, yes, I like this movie. You know, it's a positive. 2 is like, meh. I wouldn't probably tell someone, but I'm not upset I watched it. 1.5 is like, I can't believe I watched this, and anything less than that is like,
Anything below
glad
that.
I watched this because it's terrible, and I want to tell everyone how terrible it is.
I don't like especially for comedy movies, this scene didn't make the plot move along. Who cares? As long as you enjoy the scene. If you're watching Austin Powers, 90% of this the scenes don't move the plot along. But the movie's a 4 out of 4.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just that I didn't enjoy the scenes.
Give me that. Okay, don't give me your critic. Who's your guy?
Steven, whatever.
Yeah, don't give me Steven.
No,
from the
I'm saying
Baltimore
both
side.
of those are true. If there's a scene that moves the plot along that's unenjoyable, I'm like, okay, I get it. And if there's a scene that doesn't move the plot along but is enjoyable, I'm like, I get it. But if it's neither, then I'm out.
All right, that's fair. I think we judged it on a little bit different scoring scale there, but that's okay. People can interpret it how they
I
want.
also like that they're super sweaty and they know only Benny the Jet wants to play baseball. And they're like, oh, what should we do? And it's not like go to the pool and swim around. They just say pool honeys. Like, they're just,
Oh, I rewinded that. I didn't know what they were saying.
yeah, pool honeys.
It was pool honeys?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just a bunch of thirsty dogs, these kids.
Hey.
In more ways than one.
You were 13 at one point, kid. You know.
I'm 35 and I'm still there.
Still looking for pool honeys.
No, I got my pool honey. Okay, so we got coming up next. It's Keith's pick. And Keith is a huge rom-com guy. So what are we?
Number one rom-com.
What are we watching?
Hitch, my number one rom-com. We'll see if it gets the same love and attention from D-Man, but I will convert him, and he will become a rom-com guy. Join us, watch Hitch. I think we're doing that episode next, and then we're getting back to the books with The Third Option by Vince Flynn, another favorite author.
Yes.
Giddy up.
Vinny Flynn, right in time for the weather getting warm. Love to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, that was The Sandlot. We'll catch you next time. Bye
Bye
now.
now.